pick.
4:40 a.m. this morning. I woke up, go to the bathroom, couldn't go back to sleep, went right to the phone. First-round draftables. Who's worthy of a first-round pick? I just care about defensive line and offensive line right now, but I'm just saying.
I don't know. Do you trade Fields? What do you do?
I'm not trading
Fields. But we'll
Fields.
come to you for your mock drafts all the time.
Fields.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Patriots bring back Bill O'Brien. Artie Moreno keeps the Angels, and the Bucs are back together. But we begin today with Sunday's NFC Championship game. The Philadelphia Eagles are the home team, and they have the more experienced quarterback, even though Jalen Hurts is only in his second year as starting. San Francisco 49ers turned to Brock Purdy, who's in his second month of starting, and didn't figure to play 1 minute this year until Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. Wilbon, do you see the Eagles having a significant advantage at quarterback?
No. The other guy, the rookie, Mr. Irrelevant, he's undefeated. He hasn't lost a game. So nobody has an advantage over him. And it's not 2-0, I think it's 7-0. No, I don't. I mean, I think that Jalen Hurts, if I had an MVP vote, and I do not, I would have voted at the end of the regular season. These are regular season awards. I would have voted for Jalen Hurts as my MVP. No, I don't think he has a significant advantage over a guy with those weapons. Tony, we talk about this every week, the 49ers and the offensive weapons they have, starting with, to me, the most dangerous and potent weapon in the NFL today, Deebo Samuel. When you got that, you can have all the experience you want. And this kid doesn't make mistakes so far. Not big ones. He hasn't made any. So what advantage are you seeing some advantages? I ain't seeing that. I know people will hype it up, but I don't see it.
No, I honestly think the Eagles have a significant advantage.
Really?
At quarterback.
Really?
Yes, because I'm going back to the 5th week of the season when I told you then I would vote Jalen Hurts as the MVP.
I got that.
14-1 when he starts. Let me just get a couple of numbers here. He's got 25 passing touchdowns and 13 rushing touchdowns. Mike, that's 38 touchdowns that he has accounted for.
Yes.
38 touchdowns. He's only got 6 interceptions on the whole year. Doesn't turn the ball over a lot. I can make the case that he is the most effective quarterback in the entire league. So I think it's a significant advantage. Where I think San Francisco has a significant advantage that counters this is on defense. They have the #1 defense in the league. And as you say, you talk about Deebo Samuel a lot. He got nothing last week, and they still won because they've also got McCaffrey and Kittle and Ayuk.
Yes.
They are loaded on offense.
Yes.
So they turn to Purdy, and they say, just don't screw it up for us. And he hasn't.
Yeah.
No, he hasn't.
Undefeated.
His numbers, he's got 16 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns. Doesn't turn the ball over. He's only got 4 interceptions. You know, I don't know if you know this. They played against each other in college.
Yeah, it was great to see the clip.
When Purdy was at Iowa State, and Hurts had transferred to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oklahoma won 42-41, and the only reason they won is because Iowa State missed a 2-point conversion in the final play after coming back from 20 down in the 4th. Hurts had 3 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. Purdy had 5 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. So just tell me this. How could he be the last guy drafted?
I don't know.
How?
Because you can't trust the draft. Let me go back to my original position for the last 40 years.
I thought you were the draft
How can you
person?
trust the draft? You know you are draft Nick. You and your boy Mel, you are draft Nick. Let me say, I have a preposterous analogy in my head. It's so stupidly out there, but I'm going to mention it anyway. Sonny Liston. He was supposed to have an advantage over a young, undefeated Muhammad Ali. Wasn't he? Young. Small sample size.
In those
Ali had
times,
been around for a minute and a half. Yes, Cassius Clay. How'd that work? How'd that work?
He won an Olympic medal. No, I think he was more than a minute and a half, but nobody thought he'd beat Liston.
No.
Nobody. And he did.
I'm not going against the Niners at this point, not even with the MVP. Jalen Hurts. Let's move to baseball, where Artie Moreno has decided to not sell the Angels after all. 5 months ago, Moreno announced plans to explore a sale, but yesterday announced he had unfinished business. Moreno's owned the Angels for 20 years, with the team making the playoffs just 1 time since 2009. Shohei Ohtani is a free agent after this season. Tony, if you're Shohei, how you feeling about this?
So I'm not going to presume to get into the head of Shohei Ohtani. But over the last year, I have read that he gave interviews both to Japanese journalists and American journalists in which he said, I'm tired of losing.
Yeah.
My interpretation of that is that when he gets the chance to leave the Angels, which he does at the end of this year, he's going to leave the Angels. This is different than Mike Trout, who seems content to be with the Angels, even though he's only been, I believe, to 3 playoff games in his entire career. I mean, Shohei Ohtani probably looks at Artie Moreno as a guy who isn't helping. He's never gone over the luxury tax. I'm told he doesn't invest a lot in scouting. So I would think that Ohtani looks at this announcement and he's not too thrilled with it. If I'm Artie Moreno and I've got Mike Trout, who everybody thinks the best player in baseball, and I got Shohei Ohtani, who may actually be the best baseball asset in the history of the game, and I haven't made the playoffs in 8 years now because Seattle was in the longest drought in baseball history. And if I don't want to sell the team, I got to be thinking of finding a guy like Theo Epstein, if not Theo Epstein, and saying, here's the checkbook, take it over.
But if I'm Shohei, to go back to the original question, I don't care what this announcement is. I don't care what Artie Moreno is announcing he will or won't or might not do or might change his mind. It doesn't matter. I'm a free agent in less than a year's time. Are you kidding me?
That's right.
I can go wherever the hell I want to go. It doesn't matter.
What if you want to stay?
Then I
But
stay.
what if you want to stay?
Then I stay.
Yeah.
The point is I can do whatever I want for whatever reason I want.
Right.
I'm going to get $400 million to go wherever I want. And if they want to trade me, we may work out a trade that I approve to go to the Yankees for a bunch of picks and some veteran players and God knows what. And then I might walk.
Right.
Because I can walk. Because why? I'm a free agent. So there's no hand-wringing. What hand-wringing?
No.
I'll tell you people sometime around Christmas what I'm going to do.
No. It's a puzzling team. They have big players. Last year, their ERA, their pitching staff was 9th best in all of baseball, and they don't ever win. And at some point, like with the Washington football team and the New York Knicks, you got to look at the owner.
Sure.
At some point, you got to look at the owner.
You can look at it from afar, from like 2,500 miles away, and say, bye, Artie, if you want.
You can do that. The Milwaukee Bucks got Chris Middleton back last night after he missed over a month and 18 games in which they'd gone 9-9. Giannis Antetokounmpo was so excited that he said, and I'm quoting here, the band is back together. To show what that means, the Bucks went out against Detroit last night. They got 49 points in the first quarter, 150 for the game. Wilbon, what does this tell you about Milwaukee?
Not much yet, Tony. I got to see more than one game. It's like telling me breathlessly, well, Anthony Davis is back. How long are you going to be back? Middleton's missed a lot of games.
Right.
Middleton's played 8 games this season. I know you love Giannis. I get it. I do too. I know that you really have a lot of respect for Giannis, maybe even above and beyond players who are more hyped. I get that. I ain't gonna fight with you on it. But Tony, I'm gonna say this. We've seen these situations where key players go out injured and they can't ever get them back together for long stretches of time. Whether it's LeBron and Anthony Davis or Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, you don't just walk in off the street and start winning. There's too many good teams. Boston's too good. Philly even right now, to me, too good. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers can be too good. You got teams in the East, Tony. Milwaukee's with them. Are they going to rise above them just because Middleton's back for 3 or 5 games? No, I don't see that. The band is back together. Are they playing sweet music yet? Not yet. I got to see more.
When you're healthy now, it's not nearly as meaningful as being healthy in May and June.
Yeah.
That's the important part of the season, to be healthy. Yes, I do like Antetokounmpo, and I know you like Embiid, and I know you've said Philadelphia will win in the East. And I think that all things being equal and everybody healthy, I believe Milwaukee would beat Philadelphia 8 out of 10 times. But I'll get to this particular thing. 49 points in a quarter is a lot of points, okay? It is, at this point, I believe, 2 shy of the record all-time in the NBA in any quarter. 150 points for the game is a lot of points. It's the second highest amount of points this year. Now, I understand it's Detroit, Mike, and Detroit stinks, and they're last in the East. But 49 and 150 is good against anybody. Good against a high school team. what's LeBron James' kids' high school team, Sierra Canyon or something like that?
Yeah.
That's a lot of points against them. And I do like Milwaukee, and I like Middleton because he's a big part of it, but I will echo your statement that health is more important at the right time than anything else.
And you know, Tony, they can't just pop up and have it on April 15th and have it going into the playoffs. They got to have it for a little while. Every year we wind up with these stories. Are they going to get themselves together? No.
Yeah, you don't know.
Not to the tune of winning a championship. I like Milwaukee. I like the way that team plays. I like Giannis. It's fun to go to Milwaukee. I, unlike certain other people on this show, like going to small market cities and seeing people excited there about their champion. You like New York and L.A. Yeah, you and Stephen A. You only like
Green
New York
Bay
and L.A. and Miami.
No. Whoa. Let's take a 20 here. Let's take a 20. Like Green Bay, like Buffalo, like places like that. Let's take a break coming up.
Yeah,
the Patriots. I was in Buffalo when I was in college. You drove to Buffalo.
I'll give you Buffalo.
Patriots hire Bill O'Brien to be their offensive coordinator. What's the word for that?
And what's the best way to describe the record that Michaela Schifrin set today? I'm going to give you Buffalo. You've always liked Buffalo.
I went to Binghamton.
That was your second
You
home.
went to Northwestern in Chicago. You're a big city guy. You're in Phoenix, in Chicago.
I'm magnanimous. It just shows I can adapt and adopt.
Magnanimity ain't got... I got on my Dr. Humane letters coat, and it's time for What's the Word, or as I like to call it, Lingo Bingo. What's first?
Bill O'Brien is a blank choice to become the Patriots' new offensive coordinator.
He is a sensible choice. There are two important criteria that he gets right. One, he's a former Patriots assistant, so they keep it in the family, which is exactly what Bill Belichick wants. And two, he's actually been successful away from the family, which is highly unusual. Of all the Patriots assistants who became head coaches in the NFL for more than 1 year, they all had losing records except Bill O'Brien, who's 52-48. And he's an offensive guy, so they can tell Matt Patricia, get out of here, go back to what you do best, go on defense. And O'Brien had success with Deshaun Watson in Houston, I believe, and maybe he can coach up Mac Jones, because Mac Jones regressed last year, Mike, under Patricia and Belichick, who didn't care about the offense.
Tony, he's box checking. That's my word. He checks all the boxes, which is the newest cliche. It's maybe even replacing he's getting downhill. Box checking, Tony, because yes, he's already worked for Belichick, so he knows all the oddities and the demands of do your job and what that means. He knows all the ins and outs of that organization, the Patriots. He's been a head coach at a couple of stops. I mean, he was in Houston at least 5 seasons. And also, Tony, he's worked with, didn't coach technically, but he's worked with Mac Jones. They had a little off-season work together, when he was just getting in and Mac Jones was leaving, and they worked together to talk offensive philosophy and what they were going to do. So he checks all the boxes for what Bill Belichick should be. And, by the way, they were like somewhere between 25th and last in all the important categories offensively.
That's right.
So you got to go get some help right now, or you're wasting your time.
That's right. What's next?
Michaela Schifrin, passing Lindsey Vohn's all-time record for World Cup skiing wins, is blank.
It is redemptive. It's a great record. There's no woman who's ever had more wins than Michaela Schifrin, and she's only 27, Mike, so she's going to push the number. And it is redemptive because of what happened to her in the Olympics in Beijing when she got blanked. People thought she might take home 5 gold medals. She got no medals. She didn't even finish 3 of the 5 events that she was in. And people all felt sorry for her and good about her because she owned it. She talked to everybody about it. She didn't run away and hide at all. So in this particular case, she's back winning. I think that she won 9 events in the season so far, and maybe 7 out of the last 11. I think I'm close on these numbers. And she's got another chance at the Olympics in 3 years in Italy. Redemptive.
The Olympics don't even matter anymore, Tony. They matter to you and me, but they don't matter to anybody under 50. Even if I'm not even, they just don't, Tony. They
really?
Don't. People watch these things. They watch what's next. She's going to be a Lala Cher and Mirabelle for the World Championships, and they think it's all the same. This is not, it's like network TV. TV is whatever you land on with the clicker or whatever you stream. and the word is enriching. She's 27 years old. She's unbelievably charismatic and telegenic, and she's just got it on every level, all right? And she's 27. Not only can she win a bunch more races and put this number out there where nobody can get it, but you want to have her endorse your product, endorse your show, executive produce your series or your documentary. I mean, she's going to be the most wanted person out of any athlete or the top 5 in the world for another 20 years, enriching. Come on now. That's what's important. The Olympics, doesn't matter. It doesn't.
That's the final word. We'll take one last break, but still to come, a tough day for 2 Americans down under.
And Kansas continues to spiral. Downward spiral.
In recent months, you talk at great length about endorsing things.
Yeah.
And documentaries and TikTok and all this stuff. But you're always looking for how to make money off whatever
like Ralph
thing
Cramden.
you got.
I'm like Ralph Cramden.
Birthday, Sean McVay. When McVay was hired by the Rams, he became the youngest head coach ever in the NFL. 30 years, 11 months. When McVay won the Super Bowl last year, he became the youngest head coach ever to win that game. McVay is still the youngest head coach in the league. This year, 3 of McVay's former assistants, Zach Taylor of the Bengals, Brandon Staley of the Chargers, Kevin O'Connell of the Vikings, made the playoffs, and McVay didn't. McVay's Rams crumbled to 5-12, the worst next season record ever after winning the Super Bowl. McVay publicly wondered about his coaching future. But last week it was announced that McVay will stay with the Rams, so all those soup commercials, they're still good.
It's nice he's staying, Tony, but do you think McVay is a long-timer, or do you think he's John Madden? And by the way, Madden had no dent in his resume, like, crumbling after the Super Bowl. At least not that I remember it all these years later. But what do you think? You think he's going to be around for the long haul?
Not 40 years, but I think he's really good. I do. Not so happy anniversary Green Bay Packers. On this day 2 years ago, with the Packers trailing Tom Brady and the Bucs by 8 points with just over 2 minutes to play, Packers coach Matt LaFleur, yet another former assistant to Sean McVay, took the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands on 4th down and opted for a 26-yard field goal by Mason Crosby. This cut the deficit to 5, but Brady made sure Rodgers never got the ball back, and Tampa Tom went to the Super Bowl. That appears to be the beginning of the end for Rodgers and LaFleur. This season, the Packers started 4-8, and the last game of the season for them was a play-in for the playoffs. Detroit beat Green Bay, and Rodgers left the field mumbling.
Tony, I'm always against the hype of overstatement regarding NFL games and relationships and situations. But you know what? I thought that was insulting. Take the ball out of the decision, making a decision. I'm going to kick this and not give Aaron Rodgers a chance to tie and then later win this game. I think that was really insulting to him. And he had to think of it that way, at least for a while.
Yes, totally agreed on that. Happy trails to the Australian Open for Sebastian Korda and Jessica Pegula. Korda hurt his right wrist in the second set against Russian Karena Chanov and eventually withdrew, unable to continue. Korda was down 7-6, 6-3, 3-0 in the third when he retired. Korda hurt that wrist in a tune-up tournament earlier this month, and it came back to the degree that Korda said he had trouble holding the racket. Pegula went out 6-4, 6-1 to 2-time Australian Open champion Victoria Azarenka, who hasn't been back to the semifinals there in a decade. Pegula, the number 3 seed, hadn't lost a set in her 4 previous matches. Tough few days for the Pegula family. Jessica's parents own the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. Tony, how do you like your tennis in transition, men's and women's? I mean, we've moved away from the Williams sisters who dominated the landscape for so long. We're moved away from Federer. Djokovic is on his last legs. Nadal is, can't win a match lately, like 1-7 or whatever it is. How do you like your tennis in transition?
No, I don't like it as much as the big finish, which we have to do quickly.
Right,
Baseball Hall of Fame is announced at 6 p.m. Do you have any favorites?
Gary Sheffield? I mean, there's so much drama surrounding so many guys. I still think Sheffield is one that belongs. Baylor handed Kansas its 3rd straight loss. You concerned?
Yes, should be. Their next 4 are against Kentucky and 3 ranked teams. Yes. Caitlin Clark had 28, 15, and 10 as Iowa gave number 2 Ohio State its first loss. Your thoughts?
She's no longer just a curiosity. She's a great All time, great college basketball player. The Athletic reports that Kevin Durant could return before the All-Star break and play in the All-Star game. Significant?
Don't play in the All-Star game. They just play in the real
warm
game.
up?
Don't play in the All-Star game. Last one, does Georgetown finally snap its conference losing streak tonight?
Long before I began cheering for Northwestern, I cheered for DePaul basketball. I never go against DePaul basketball, but I think Georgetown's going to win at home.
You've gotten everything wrong this week.
Yeah.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheimer.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast.